Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of The Thing Is. I know that's a tough question, right?
That's
Way
just
down.
like what? Like what? I'm interested.
So, you know, bedroom stuff. Today I have with me Jennifer. Hey Jennifer. So the reason that I'm really excited to speak to Jennifer is because we met a long time ago. Mm-hmm. In fact, you were one of the first people that I met when I first moved to Ghana.
Yep.
And now our situations are completely different for both of us.
Right. It's so wild. It's so different. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And you are one of the most honest people that I know.
True or false?
Very outspoken. She'll tell you the truth. So, yeah. So I'm really happy to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. And
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the storytelling that you're doing, and I appreciate you putting out information for women like us who live here, who aren't necessarily born and raised here, but we can still go through these experiences and have different qualities of life while you're living here.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Okay. That's okay. Right. Yeah, so I just wanted to start with your story. Just tell me a little bit about your story. So when I met you, you were married to somebody who was Ghanaian. Mm-hmm. And you met, where did you meet?
So me and my first husband, we met in the U.S. Mm-hmm. He went to university in the States. I met him through a roommate that I had, and then it was just... we knew each other for a while, and then we started dating. And when we started dating, it's like typical Ghanaian love story. It was like, boom, 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 boom. Everything happened within 6 months. We were engaged, pregnant, living together, and everything.
Hold on, 6 months? I didn't realize that. 6 months of knowing him.
Yes. Oh, no, 6 months of being together, but I knew him through my roommate because they worked for the same company. So we were either I was dating, well, it was mostly me. About the town,
right.
So we had that period of time, and then once we became like, okay, like let's date and see where this goes. It was quick. 6 months, engaged, pregnant, living together, married, everything.
Wow.
And then we moved to Ghana. Mm-hmm. And, we moved to Ghana a few years later. It had to be I can't really remember. It's so long.
It doesn't matter.
Right. We eventually moved to Ghana. Mm-hmm. And then that's when things shifted. And
so how long were you married for?
Total years that we were married, if I'm counting the time it took for us to divorce, it was probably 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because in Ghana, it took us about 2 years to finalize our divorce here.
Okay, so what was it like dating someone who was Ghanaian? Because you're not Ghanaian. So what was that like?
Well, in the U.S., I felt like it felt different. Mm-hmm. It was, I felt like he adapted to the culture there, so it was a lot more, for me, I don't know, it just felt normal, like any other kind of relationship. But when we moved to Ghana, things shifted because a lot of times and I've heard this a lot, unfortunately, not trying to bash Ghanaian, I'm sorry guys.
Say it.
But to me, the energy shifts when Ghanaian move back to Ghana, because then they have the friend influence, the familiar, the family influence. And then they have people around them that they see, and they have those aunties whispering and telling you, this is why she talks too much, or she drinks too much. You'll have one club beer and they'll say you're alcoholic.
Right.
As I'm sitting here with wine. But that was the case. No, it would be that kind of scenario. So I felt like a lot of our dynamic that I enjoyed in the U.S. drastically changed here, like where I was involved in all of our finances and things like that in the U.S., whereas here I didn't know what was going on financially. I had to rely on what he told me, and he wasn't adding me to things where I could go and check these things. So I kind of essentially felt financially trapped, and I had to rely on him for everything, whereas before I had a thriving business in the States.
Oh, so you'd become dependent
Yes,
on him.
I became dependent on him for everything, for friendships, for people and things like that, because I didn't know anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Had you been to Ghana before that?
No.
Oh.
I had never left the United States.
Really? You've never been anywhere else?
Just moved.
Oh, so that's a lot.
Yeah, so we went through that, and then it was just like certain unspoken rules. It was like he would go with his friends, but then I was like, okay, where are we going? He was like, I know. I'm going with my friends. You gonna be in the house. And I'm like, okay, like this. It was so very different from what I knew in the States, what our marriage was in the States, and what our marriage was here. Right. Like I couldn't question him here. I couldn't ask certain things that, in my opinion, because I'm sure he might have it. And FYI, we're very good today. Yeah. But you know, Casey sees us. Yeah. But no, that was the case, and that's how I interpreted things. And you know, I wasn't completely like innocent or anything like that. Like I did my little
I love it.
stuff.
I love it when people are honest, okay? Because just because someone's been through a divorce doesn't mean that they're saying that I was perfect in the relationship. It doesn't mean that. We all recognize our own faults. So it's great that you're saying that. Yeah. No one's perfect, you know?
At all.
Okay, so at what point did you feel like, okay, this is enough for me. I can't do this anymore?
You know, well, I mean, if anybody who's ever been married knows that there are several times that you may feel like that point before you get to the final levels of things. And I think for me, I felt like it was like the one moment for me was when he said I could not go back home, or he did not want to pay for me to fly back to see my daughters in America. And I felt like out of everything, that was the main thing. I don't know, it was something, it just triggered out of everything we were going through and everything. And it was just like, that was the one thing where I was like, oh, okay, so we just done.
Right. You know? I guess I can understand why you would feel that way, because already you're dependent on him, and it's like, obviously it's important for you to be able to go back and see your other children, so you want to do that. So for someone to have that much control over you, it's just too much.
And then after that, when I wanted to go back to work, it became an issue of where I was working, because I could only rely on who I knew. So I knew somebody who worked at the nightclubs here and was like, okay, we need a VIP manager to come over here and just work a couple nights a week. And then that became an issue, even though it was once or twice a week. You know, and then it became once or twice a week, but then I'm networking and I'm meeting people and I'm starting to get on my own foot and make my own moves. And then I'm like, well, I got a meeting with another person that's we gonna do this or start something here and things like that, and he didn't like that. And at first I was like, is it because it's a club, or maybe it's because I gotta dress up, or you know, because you gotta be cute. So then I was like, is it that? And so then I made contact with another company, and it was like a regular job where I would be flying like throughout Ghana and just being a company representative. He didn't like that either. So it was just like, well, I think for him, he would have been more comfortable for me owning my own business and being at home, but not necessarily working outside where I would be accessible to everybody else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot, because obviously you're in a different country. You're trying to also find your own space where you fit in. So that would be a lot for anybody. I mean, I'm Ghanaian, and that would be a lot for me too, I think.
Right. So we just had to, you know, and I feel like it was just during that period of time is like we had a lot of crises and things like that, and you know. Yeah,
I think you said something which was really important, because marriage is never perfect, and there are times where you're going to feel like, oh, it's just too much. We'll have those moments. Those are completely normal. But then I feel like also people have a limit. There was some point, you hit your limit and you're like, I cannot and I will not do this anymore.
Right.
That's a different kind of thing from saying, oh, I'm fed up of this. Right. It's different. Because when a woman says that, that means she's done.
And another proponent I'd like to say is that when a woman says, I'm not going to argue with you. Mm-hmm. When a woman stops arguing with you, baby, count your days.
She's left already. She's
done mentally. Yeah. Because women, statistically, women leave mentally before they actually physically leave. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when I'm not arguing with you no more, I'm not trying to make you be the greatest. I'm not I'm not nagging you.
Yeah.
You just my roommate?
Yeah.
I do. We done. Mm-hmm. Like, it's nothing.
Right.
But if I'm still fighting for you, if I'm saying, baby, go to therapy. Mm-hmm. Baby, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
How can we fix this?
You're still in
be open to a conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then we're still in it.
Okay.
But yeah, people need to recognize that part as well.
Yeah, it's very true. So I'm going to ask you this. So you now being divorced, are you bitter? Because the reason I ask you, the reason I ask you is because people think that when someone goes through a divorce, they become bitter towards marriage and relationships and love. Is that the case for you?
Oh, girl, no. See, I love, as y'all can see.
Okay.
I love. I give love chances. I believe in happy, but I also don't believe that there's one person for everybody. I believe that you can be with somebody, and that person is your person for that time being.
Right.
But things can change, and especially when you're young and dumb and getting married in your 20s. And
how old were you when you got married?
25. Well, 24, 25, yeah. So I'm like, right. So you think, oh, I'm
just
wrong.
Just dumb.
Just stupid. No experience. There you go. No coping mechanisms, no communication skills, nothing. Everything is about feelings.
I'm sorry, yeah. I'll speak for myself. I was empty-headed. Like, I didn't even have a list. So last week I did this show, and we were talking about lists. And I was saying, when I got married, I didn't actually have a list. So I didn't know what I was looking for. So there was no standard. So literally, anybody could have been proposed to me, and I'd be like, okay, let's sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have been like that because I had no expectation from the person.
Wow.
I had no one to look up to. So I really was.
That is crazy.
I didn't know.
I mean, I don't feel like it's okay. So I'm saying it's crazy, but when I'm thinking about it, it's not necessarily crazy because society has this thing of projecting onto women, and especially women in our community, in the Black community, is marriage is that thing. Like, you are not a bride unless you are married and working on children and being a team and doing all of these things and. But everyone's saying that to us, but nobody is teaching us or telling us what we should do. That therapy is important.
Yes.
You need to know yourself and love yourself first. No one's telling us these things, so we jump into these things. We're jumping into these things because, I won the prize. I won it. I'm married. I'm a married woman. Ain't nobody tell me nothing. I'm a wife.
Yeah.
And then you sitting there saying I'm a wife and you in your house and you can't stand your husband.
Right.
Or he can't stand you.
Exactly.
And you trying to figure out everything with no tools to figure it out because nobody taught you any of that.
This is what I'm saying. This is why the show is so important to me. So people feel like I'm just here and I'm talking about divorce because I'm going through it and I'm a bit bitter probably and I need to do maybe therapy and honestly I'm not bitter towards it. I literally want to share my experience because I feel like people don't talk about this stuff enough because it's made to be so taboo, but there are so many people out there that are hurting and don't know what to do, and I just want to be able to show people that it's not the end. Do you know what I mean? It could literally be the beginning for you. And so that's why I want to share my story. And that's why I love talking to people like you as well. Because you've got an amazing story because you got remarried.
Yes, people. You can go through a divorce and have 1,000 children and still find a man that wants you.
Hold on a minute. Okay, because you just said something. You had children and you still got remarried. People say to me, well, you have 4 children, so it's unlikely that another man would want to pick you up. Nobody wants to look after somebody else's children. How many children did you have before you got remarried?
Okay, first of all, everyone who has that opinion can burn in hell. Edit it if you need to. My first marriage, I already had 2 children. When I married my Ghanaian ex-husband, I already had 2 grown children, 2 big girls.
Right.
Then when he and I split up, I had 4. And I met my husband. Somewhere over here. But now we have a child together. So I have 5 children.
Wow.
And best believe if he get to cutting up, I'll be able to get somebody. No, but I need women to get rid of that nonsense in your head that says you can't get nobody. Ain't no man ever in that I know complain about no stretch marks and no breastfeeding body, no woman body. They like that. If you with a grown man, they don't care nothing about that stuff. Get that out your head. It's plenty of stepdaddies ready to be stepdaddying. Okay? Get out your head. Confidence is what attracts people.
I say that all the time. It's so
your confidence, your swag, how you carry yourself, what you're saying. Like, don't nobody want nobody who feel down and out and I can't get nobody and everybody need to feel sorry for me and stuff. You gotta be confident.
Yes.
You gotta feel good.
So what you're saying is so true. I love that. Because for me, one of the things that I felt when I first started going through the divorces, my body is not the body that I had when I was 24. Like, man, you know what I mean? There's a few shaky parts going on here. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, I need to tighten up. But I'm a certain age now, so even if I tighten up, I might not tighten up all the way how I want to tighten up. I'm like, how do I now present myself to the next guy?
Yeah, they don't be caring about it. They don't care. They don't care because if I dig in on our woman, on our feminine side, women also have to understand that men are also human. Just like we can overlook a belly or a daddy body or anything like that. Men who are really genuine can overlook certain things. And a lot of times, like when you genuinely fall in love with somebody, you're not falling in love with what their stomach looks like,
right,
or what their arm looks like, you know, especially at our ripe old ages, because when you're in your early 20s and teens, you can afford to be superficial, but right now, as we navigate this second phases of our lives, you know, we are a lot more open-minded and we understand what really matters, and we also have to give the benefit of the doubt to our male counterparts as well, because there is somebody out there. Like I gotta tell people, don't. And if you are around people who are telling you things like that, get them the fuck away from you. Get them away from you. Seriously, cancel them, remove them, don't talk to them ever again. Friend, foe, family, whoever, because
honestly,
you don't need that energy.
Honestly, to be honest with you, when I started going through my divorce, I gave a lot of people the chop. I really did. Not because I just felt like I'm just going to be me. It wasn't that. I was going through something and I needed to be positive and I needed to be in that space.
Right.
And I didn't need anybody around me telling me I can't do this or you shouldn't do that. No, I'm figuring things out. Let me have my space to do what I need to do. So I'm not listening to any of that. So I just gave everybody the chop.
You have to. I did the same thing. I got rid, like, girl, the way I was unfriending, removing people, not talking to nobody, like, and I had to explain to people it's nothing personal. It's everything to do with how I need to handle this situation. I can't be around people who are close to my ex because regardless of the fact that now we're amicable, right? We're cool as shit. Like, we can run into each other and kick it. But during that time, it was nasty. It was the nastiest thing I've ever gone through in my life, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
It's horrible.
Yes, it's nasty. And so I had to cut off everybody who would be either have an inkling to tell on me or say I'm doing this or say something to somebody. I was like, everybody got to motherfucking go.
Right.
That's how I had to move.
Yeah, no, I completely understand it. But I will say this though, you know, when someone's going through a divorce and when you've never been through it, it's so easy to prejudge someone and just think of the person or see the person a certain way. And it's so wrong. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be really honest with you because I'm at that phase, right? I'm very honest. When I found out that you were getting divorced, I was like, what is wrong with her? In my head, I said, what is wrong with her? Like, you have a good man there. Why would you want to do this? This makes no sense. I was like, man, it's Jennifer being Jennifer. Honestly, what I was Jennifer being Jennifer.
A lot of people said that.
Right. But
a lot of people said that.
Yes, but until I went through it myself, I'm like, oh. I take it all back. Because now I see I understand what you were saying. And so it's so important to not prejudge someone unless you have been there yourself. So those of us that talk about divorce and we talk about it so openly, don't prejudge us because there's a reason that we're talking and there's a reason that we're saying the things that we're saying. We're going through something.
Right. And
so, you know.
I appreciate your honesty with that because like I said, we just had a conversation before the cameras rolled about my prejudgments and what I was thinking and things like that. We all have a tendency of doing that. And like I said, as we get into our ripe older ages, we're getting to the middle ages. We have to start, we're going through a shift in a time if you're genuinely trying to heal and move and be a better person, you go through these shifts where you learn not to, it's none of your fucking business. Basically, you know what I mean? It's none of your business. And unless you've gone through it, you can either be a support or you ignore. That's it. I don't need nothing else. Because when I went through my thing, I've had friends that I'm still friends with come up to me and be like, oh my God, like, because I never spoke on my things. I wasn't going around telling everybody he did this and did that, but he, at that moment, was doing that to me because, you know, divorce is painful. So I ain't going to tell you how to process your stuff. It was embarrassing for me because it was a lot of things that were being said about me that weren't necessarily true or it was through the eyes of someone who's in pain.
Right.
So I was getting that, but I wasn't saying anything. So they just thought I was just living my life chilling. And I was like, you don't even know how many times I sat on the roof of my house, depressed, crying.
Same.
Just didn't know what to do. Trying to figure everything out. Had my that liquor that make you cry, that gin. That's why I can never look at gin now. I cannot. But I would be up there crying and just because I didn't want to cry in front of my children.
I was the same. And
then what's crazy because my divorce took 2 years. I was dating.
I was asking about that. How long after you or were you still going through your divorce when you started dating?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. I'm so cute.
I love
to be head in the house.
Yes, I'm
not sitting there moping for nobody.
Right, so you were going through your divorce still, and you
because my divorce took 2 years.
Man,
it is unrealistic for people to be like 2 years.
Yeah,
you can't talk to nobody. No. That dude was out there doing his thing. Even before. So what the heck?
I love this so much.
I'm going to be out there.
So much. Do you know the reason why I love what you're saying?
Why?
Because when I was around the 6-month mark, I remember I specifically said to my friend, I feel like I want to date. Is that weird? And she was like, hell no. And I'm like, really? And she was like, that is so normal. And so you just saying that as well just almost validates the same thing.
Girl, you better get out there with your legs and the feet. Like, girl, ain't nobody got time for that. First of all, ain't nobody got time to be living and worrying about who's going to think of what. Because one thing about me, that's probably why I ain't got that many friends. I don't care. I have always been one to live my life authentically. Mistakes, triumphs, and all. I don't care. I'm a move. As long as my kids is good, everybody cool. I don't care. Y'all not paying my bills.
Yeah, it's true.
Why do I care about that?
It's true.
That's one thing I learned about living here. I've never been surrounded by so many people who actually give a damn about what the next person is doing. I don't give a fuck. When I see people doing their thing, I'm gonna be like, I keep my opinion, well, because now I'm grown, I keep my opinion to myself.
Yeah.
But I'm gossip to my husband later.
Oh, yeah, but that's normal.
Yeah. But no, but I mean, in general, it's like, I don't really care. And I don't care that you care what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm still going to move the way I want to. And you're never going to know what the hell I'm doing because you're never going to be that close to me to know.
Exactly. That's so important.
You know, so girl, move.
So 6 months. So how long was it before you found your now husband?
Oh, yo, you know, he been stalking me for many a years.
Really? While you were married?
Oh, girl, a long time. You know, he done seen these long legs.
Yeah.
And you know, I was pregnant. And we used to all go to his spot.
I remember.
Yes, and I would hear from other people that he was checking me out, but then when he realized I was married, he was like, oh, no, okay.
Yeah.
I get that. But, you know, he played the long game.
Really? He waited?
He never talked to me or nothing. It was like, literally, I was working at that club place, and this was after me and George had this, me and my ex decided to split and divorce, and then but we still had to live in the same house because we could dive in another day about that damn divorce laws.
Yeah,
we can dive into that another day because that's a whole other ball game. But anyway, so we were still sharing not the same room, but sharing the same house. Yeah, we decided to make the house neutral. We don't bring nobody because we knew each of us was dating. That was all open. We knew that.
Right.
So anyway, so I was working at the little nightclub, and here he come. He come recruit me for his events, and then I started working for him. And then it just went from there where I was bringing in, he wanted me to be a hostess. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Make some extra coins, whatever. Then he realized I knew people and I was putting money into the company. Like I knew people who knew people and was putting shit in. And then he was like, oh, well, shit, bitch, you valuable. You know some people around here. Like, okay.
Right.
Anyway, and then we just started hanging out, but not really like that. It was like he invited me to, it was a coworker's birthday party, but he was nervous that the girl was like trying to get him, or like, she's a little young girl. And he was like, oh, I thought, I just want to, just in case.
Right.
I would like you to come with me and we could just be cool. And so we were there and we were cool and we had a great old time. And because I was hollering at a couple people at that time. You gotta look at yourself like a commodity here. I was like, well, I was interviewing a few people. So, anyway, we were gonna go home, and I was about to call my Uber to go home, and I went to hug him and give him a kiss on the cheek, say thank you for a great evening, and then he turned his face and kissed me on the mouth. Oh, and that actually turned out to be the best kiss I've ever had in my life.
Really?
And we've been like this since then.
Really?
Since then, September 2016.
That's amazing. So, let's talk about this because your husband is a little bit older than you.
Oh, I mean a lot. I'm not going to be shy about it.
Okay. How much older is he?
He is 26 years older than me.
Is it that much? Oh my gosh, I didn't know it was that much. Really?
Yes. I am 38 and he is just turned 64. But we carry our ages well.
Wow. I did not know the gap was that. Here's me like, I don't know if a guy 10 years younger than me or 10 years older than me, I don't know if I would look at him. And here you are, 26 years.
I be telling these girls, I'm like, you better get on it.
What?
It be some secrets that they be knowing.
What? No, so tell me, what is it like being with an older man?
It's just like any other man. They hard-headed, they don't listen, they slow. You gotta tell them stuff, they don't remember shit. Like any normal marriage.
But like, okay, let's...
You talk about the sex part?
Is he still strong? Is he still like...
I mean, clearly we had a baby 2 years ago.
You did?
We had a baby together. Wow. And like I said, Well, I don't know. It depends on the genetics too, because I've heard stories from other people where the guy needs a little.
Pick me up.
Yeah, nothing.
Really?
Like I think like I said, like a lot of men and his generation, like or a bit older, they have to take supplements and stuff, but he ain't on no Viagra or nothing like that. The thing still be standing, and I can make the goddamn bed if I want to. So I got 5 kids. I know what I'm doing. She knows what she doing. So I know what he's doing. He got a lot of kids too. So it's like you learn different things. Like I said, I don't really. That's not something we think about to me.
So was he able to like teach you stuff being older?
Yes, because I am normally on my rah-rah energy, because I was used to being in 2 previous relationships because I've only been in 3 relationships in my whole life. So my 2 previous relationships were very much fight for your life. Everybody's arguing to your horse and you're screaming. Whereas he ain't got time for that stupid shit. You know, he just be like, okay, you done? Or he's gonna ignore me or go somewhere and ignore me and be like, okay,
when you're ready.
Right. So his energy is a lot more calming, and it was somewhat like therapy, because I was so used to being in a fight or flight kind of situation, whereas now it was just, I don't even got to do all of that no more.
Really?
Because you when you are used to a relationship where you're arguing, you get in the defensive mindset and how you speak to your spouse
and then you're
not
even listening anymore.
Right. And so you're expecting, anytime someone says anything to you, like your new spouse, you're just expecting things to be an argument when it really doesn't have to be. So he's definitely taught me to be a lot more reflective and a lot more calm. And I've actually taught him to be more open and communicative, like just speaking more. Like he's even like done therapy. He's never done therapy in his life. And I remember just doing my witchy stuff, my crystal, all of that. And I was like, I just want somebody who is not afraid of healing. Because this is another thing people don't talk about. Men don't like the concept of healing. And if you are with a man who does not agree with therapy, run for the goddamn hills. Run. Because any man who values you or values themselves and values any great relationship, they would be so open to therapy and healing, because shouldn't the goal be to be better?
Yeah. See, this is where I think culture's different a bit, because in the UK, therapy's not that big. In America, I hear people talk about therapy all the time, and I'm like, it's never been something I've even ever really talked about until having moved to Ghana and meeting other people from America. And then I hear therapy. Like, we do maybe marriage counseling, but we don't say, oh, I need to go see a therapist.
Marriage counseling is therapy, though.
It is therapy, but just for,
it's
like,
just
this is
YouTube.
Premarital counseling type thing.
Oh, that's church stuff.
Yeah, but not like, okay, I feel like I'm dealing with some issues. I need to go see a counselor. No, it's not a thing for us.
It needs to be a thing. To me, I personally feel like it needs to be a thing for every human being on earth, because human nature, human life is just difficult. Being a mother is difficult. Being a wife is difficult. Going through a divorce is difficult. Remarrying is difficult. Childhood traumas is actually where 99% of problems in people's lives come from.
I believe so.
So I told Heather from day one, I was like, if there's ever a time that you need to do therapy or I need you to do it, the minute I recognized it, I told her, like, you're going to have to do it, because I refuse to be in another relationship with somebody who does not believe in healing. Because we are in 2023.
Yeah.
This should be the norm at this point. Healing should be the norm at this point. Right? And if you're not willing to do that, then it shows me you're just dismissing everything that we worked for, our foundation, our marriage, and everything.
Yeah.
Because when you decide to end a marriage, that means you're going to try to do everything possible to save it. And if you're not, I don't have time for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So is your new husband, is he Ghanaian?
No. I mean, well, he hasn't given me a passport. Because he's been in Ghana for 30 years. He is Polynesian, so he was born and raised in New Zealand. He is not a Kiwi. Do not call him a Kiwi ever.
Okay.
He is Maori, indigenous to New Zealand, and his mother is Maori, and his dad is Tongan from Tonga.
Right.
So he is a Polynesian man.
So how was that different to dating someone who is Ghanaian? Did you immediately see the differences?
Is very different in a way where in his culture they kind of celebrate women.
Oh, okay.
Especially the Tonga side, girl. That's Tonga side. I remember before we got married or engaged, actually before we even got engaged, we went to the States together. And we went to Minnesota because he has some Tongan family there. And so we went there, and then I remember the matriarch of the family is always a woman. So we went there and we stayed with one of his aunties, and they were doing a barbecue. Child, they invited everything on Polynesian they could find a dang on Minnesota. I didn't even know they stayed out there because they island people. So we went out there, and I was asking because I was running around, and I was asking Auntie, I was like, Auntie, do you need me to help? You know, because I'm a Southerner. I got to help move some stuff, you know, like you want me to clean? What you need me to do? She said, no. In our culture, the men do everything.
The men do everything? The men do the cooking and everything?
When you're preparing for guests and things like that, yes, the men do everything.
Oh, so you just put your feet up?
Yep.
No, I need to get me one of them.
You never know until you try. Yeah, so it was that was kind of eye-opening that I saw that aspect of things, like the women, and especially when you're pregnant, you're like, when I was pregnant with this baby, I didn't want for nothing.
Really?
He did not want me to move.
Really?
Nothing. I just put your feet up, relax, whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to do, whatever you want. That is what's going to happen. You sit down, make sure this baby's okay. You don't do anything.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I didn't have to. I ain't do shit. Yeah, I ain't do nothing.
Really?
Everything I wanted done to the house got done. Everything I wanted to do got done. I ain't worried about anything. Anything I wanted to order.
So is that because of his background or because of his age?
I feel like it could be a combination of both, right? Because he's had children before, and he had a very different experience. And those experiences, because he's young, because he always tells me, he was like, a man is not a man until they're 50.
Really?
He says that to me all the time.
I could kind of believe that, you know, because you have so much to learn. So I could understand how that could be true, really. Wow.
And I feel that because my experiences before, like, both of my exes are in their 40s now, you know, and then they're like, you know, my first ex, he's going through a divorce.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then my ex that I was married to, he still hasn't found anybody in these years that he wants to be with.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think tell me what the dating scene is like, because you dated before you got remarried. What was that like? I need to understand what you're walking into, because I feel like times have changed so much. I feel like it's a different world right now.
To me, I feel like it depends on the scene that you're looking for, right? Like if you're just, I don't know, it just depends on where you go, who you're around, the company that you keep, because I'm a little bougie, you know, like things. And I am too, yes. And I can smell Baroque, and Little Dick energy from a mile away. So I just know it's just in my DNA. And
yeah, I mean, this is real talk.
And they be mean to me. Like, they don't be mean to me. They just, I found, which was crazy, that Ghanaian men never talk to me. They never hit on me when I was single. No.
Really?
Only the Nigerians and the foreigners.
That's interesting.
The Ghanaian dudes would never try to holler at me.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've had a few of them. Actually, they don't necessarily approach me. So I get this, and I'm like, that's not.
Oh, ew! No.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't work for me. I'm not coming.
I pretend like you don't exist.
Yeah, I'm not coming. But honestly, none of them have. I've never had one come and approach me directly in front of my face and say. And start a conversation with me. Never.
Me, there was the only one that did. It was a famous soccer player, football player, you guys call it. Mm-hmm. One of them that played on the national team. But he sent someone else to come and ask for my number.
I had that too. I'm like,
and I was like, no.
We're not interested in that. No.
No. And then I've had offers to be side chicks of people.
See?
I have the Nigerians especially. No offense, Nigerians, we love you. No wahala. But the men that would come in, they'd be like, I can get you an apartment and everything you want. I'm going to pay all your bills. And I was like, and to do it, to be available to you and be
exactly.
I'm a number one top tier bitch. You're not been to make me second to nothing. I'm a number one type of chick.
Yeah.
I have to be the
right. Exactly.
So and I got real bills, baby. Don't nobody care about no apartment. And that's another thing I tell women too when you're out here dating, because a lot of people, they be accepting mediocre things, and then when you decide not to accept mediocrity, then you're labeled as a gold digger or this person or that or the other. Number one, like I said.
She said it. You said it. It's so true. Because I feel like when you get to a certain age, you know now what you're looking for and what you're not going to accept. So you become fussier about certain things. There are
kids and bills.
Right. There are not some non-negotiables. So, like, when people try to approach you, the first thing that the woman is going to think about is, but can you even support me? Like, are you on my level? I know that sounds kind of tacky, but it is also true.
I don't think it's tacky.
But because it's so
that's
true,
real life.
You have to match me or be higher than me. This is not going to work if we're not even on the same level. I'm sorry, guys. That I know this is the new me. Some of you don't know the new me, but that is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's factual life, and people get offended, and I'm tired of people. I mean, not that I really care, but in general, like, it's like I want better for my fellow sisters, my people, to expect higher, because culturally in our culture and in the Black community, it's expected for Black women to accept, oh well, at least he has this, at least he has that. So we're expected to lower our standards.
Yeah.
Whereas a white woman or another type of race can be like, I only want to date a CEO and no one's going to blink an eye. But if we say, baby, no, we're going to need this, because another thing that people don't realize, when you get to our age points, you have children, you have responsibilities, and you're coming into this picture to try to date me, and you're a man. You're a man, so you're going to want certain perks, right?
Right.
You're going to want your dinner. You're going to want a woman to know how to cook, know how to clean, take care of these kids. But then you want me to pay half of the bills. Or you want me to do X, Y, and Z. It ain't working like that. So if you want feminine energy, you got to give me masculine energy back. And masculine energy is you paying these motherfucking bills. And I'm a cook.
Yeah.
Listen, baby, I know my role. I'm a cook and do what it do. But just as long as these bills is paid. Now, if I got to work and cook, baby, no, we're not doing both.
I love that. Like, it's so real. I feel like you say stuff that some people just only think about but wouldn't dare say. And so that's what I really like about you. Like, you just say it. Do you know what I mean? And it takes guts, because for a lot of the time, some people will just be like, oh, she's this, she's that, feel like you're just talking too much. But you're talking the real. This is what a lot of us are thinking, and you're saying it as it is. So
I have these conversations with my very, very close friends often, and a lot of us are married or remarried or had children with someone else and then remarried, or I mean, just lived fucking life. It don't matter if you're married or not. You just live in life, and you know the dating game, the man and the woman game. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to encourage people to not be afraid of saying what you want. Like I tell these ashy dudes that be on there, somebody, I want a woman to do X, Y, and Z. Find you somebody that does that.
Yeah.
But don't try to find a woman who doesn't want that and try to convince her to do otherwise and break her down mentally. Because that's what they be looking for sometimes.
Right.
So I encourage my sisters to know the difference between that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a man, a masculine man, if you're willing to put out the feminine energy as well. Like I said, because you don't got to tell us.
Yeah.
And the dude don't got to tell you either, right?
Right.
They just come to you with that energy.
Yes.
And you just know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like if a man is doing what he's supposed to be doing, it's so easy for the woman to fall into place because she wants to do all these things for you, because she wants to keep you happy.
Baby, the lights is on. Put you on for dinner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, wow, I feel like we're not asking for that much. We really don't. Just play your part and we'll fall in line. Like, this whole submission thing only becomes an issue when you're not doing your part. Like, we don't even need to have that word, submission. It's just, we will do what we need to do. You do what you need to do.
Right. And that's the biggest thing I keep trying to figure out in my head. It's like, why are so many of these groups that I'm in having this discussion? And why are there so many dissertations about how to spot this type of man or how to spot this type of woman?
Yeah.
There's no discussion. I didn't talk to this man and be like, you paying the bills? And he ain't talk to me like, well, what you bringing to the table? We didn't have that conversation.
Right.
We go out and it was like, oh no, there's no conversation. Are you paying the bill? Are you splitting the bill or any of that? We don't have those discussions.
Yeah.
And you eventually find, and it just molds together on what your roles are, like in that sense, and what works for you in that situation. I'm tired of these people doing all these think pieces and stuff about it. It ain't nothing hard about it.
Yeah, it's too much.
Find somebody who fits your narrative of what you want out of your life. It's simple as that.
I love it.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. I've enjoyed talking to you so much.
Me too.
I feel like we need to catch up a little bit off camera too, though.
No, we're definitely going to.
Yes.
We
and
are.
I'm going to have you actually back on the show. I really
Really?
Yeah, no, I really want to. I really want to. I want to bring someone on as well. So it's like
that's fine. We can have a conversation, right?
Like that would be really nice. So thank you.
I'd be honored. Thank you so much for having me, because this has been really good. You know, I've had these conversations before, and in different situations and things like that. But I never turn it down, because I feel like women need to know these things. Absolutely. And we need to have these conversations. We need to feel safe and comfortable talking about these things openly.
Yeah.
Like, I could go on, we could do a whole nother episode about divorce and the process.
Yeah, I know.
Of how to get through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we could do one on dating, or just, you know, moving on. There's so many different aspects of this Ghana life. And womanhood and parenthood, and there's so many hoods that we in. Is so
it's true. No, it's absolutely true. But I think what I want people to really take away from this as well is that if you're a man or a woman and you're going through divorce, it's not the end. It could be the start of something for you. So I don't need to feel like you're spoiled in any way or it's the end. It's really, really not. Like, you're not the first person to go through it. You're not going to be the last person to go through it. So just take your journey one day at a time, and it will work itself out.
And love on yourself.
very important.
Baby, the that I'm living life right now.
Yes.
I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing partner, amazing co-parent. Like, we are living and doing our thing. Now, shit ain't perfect now. You know, we be getting into it sometimes, but in general, like I tell you, you go through your divorce and you feel like the whole world is crumbling around your shoulders. Baby, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Feel what you're feeling. Go through it. But just know that ain't the end all be all. Don't be sitting here wasting away, letting your body shrivel up.
No.
Just open. Girl, go in there and get your man. Go in there and get you a man, baby. It's that daddy season.
I love it. See why I'm So guys, that's the end of today's show. Honestly, it's been amazing. I've enjoyed. I think we could easily talk for another. So easy to, but we have to end it there. It has been long enough. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, we are out. Nutitfafa.